Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, people, and welcome to Footy Judge Mo. Welcome to another stream of Thursday with Nina, Kelkster, and Jess. And we actually don't have Hussam today, and everyone knows why. Because he's getting engaged tomorrow. So congratulations to him. Oh. And that's why he's not here. He's rehearsing his engagement party tomorrow. That's why he's not doing any content today or tomorrow. Finally, Hussam is becoming a big man and getting engaged. Finally. So that's why he's not here today to talk about his beloved Liverpool. Of course, even after we pressed him yesterday that he crashed out of his own stream yesterday on Al Ahwa, me and Saad pressed him so hard that he crashed out of the stream. He said he lagged. We'll see how it goes. Hit that like button, people, if you're watching us now. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'm actually less than 10 subscribers away from 29,000 subscribers. So if you're new to the channel, like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, of course. And all these guys' channels in the description. Nina, of course, channel in the description, as always. She knows Arsenal, which is Jess, if you don't know, in the description as well. Staffy TV in the description as well. We're here to talk about the win for Arsenal yesterday. They are linked to Sesko, but it's in the summer again. Next season, FC, like Netflix, as always. We'll talk about Chalobah being recalled at Chelsea. Does that solve their defensive problems? Man United, why do they only perform in big games? Of course, we know Amorim spoke about that as well. We'll take Staffy's take on that as well. And Phil Foden is back, but City are the same. They have no mentality, as Rodri accused Arsenal before. How's everyone doing? Oh my God. Nina, it's all right. You no wins in 5. It's okay, Nina. It's fine. You don't have to be like this. It's all right.
We switched places.
Yeah, I know. That's why you've been promoted to the top spot and I've been put at the bottom. Is that why, Mo?
Well, within 2 weeks, I think Man City will be ahead of Chelsea. Man City will be ahead of Chelsea.
In 5 games.
Yeah, look.
You haven't won in 5 games. You haven't won in 5 games. People say it's now, and then Fabrizio said that Arsenal are interested, but the reports are saying, I don't report myself. The reports are saying that he is adamant to continue the season with Leipzig. I hope that Arsenal gets him now because Arsenal need a striker today, not tomorrow, today, before the next game, without a shadow of a doubt. Yesterday's game, Kai Havertz is the best defensive striker in the league again. He's doing the pressing and the fighting and nudging the opponents, but not scoring the goals. Arsenal could have won 5 or 4 if Kai Havertz had a shooting boots on. But listen, it's just a question to Jess. How are you?
I'm good. These are like the first words I'm speaking. So,
okay.
You're welcome.
I was going to say, you woke up someone in 6 a.m. to talk about Arsenal?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
And
That's
Man
all.
City. I'm in the same time zone. She is.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's so early. No, I mean I'm doing well. So
Are you
yeah.
behind the lads now? Are you behind the boys and the lads now? After the win yesterday, because everyone now seems to be like, "Oh, I'm behind the boys now. I'm behind Arteta and the team."
I mean, I hope that they continue. It's weird because as the narratives around everybody's team is so funny because as bad as we've been, we're not as far back, I think, as people think we are. That being said, there's still, I think a lot to do. And if we do get to a period where Liverpool drop another point here and there, and it gets really, really close, we would love to be in a position where we could take advantage of it. Right now, I'm not sure that we're in a position to really take advantage of it. And that's why this next 15 days are like monumental for the season. You have to get in an attacker now. You need to boost the team. I don't know how anybody could watch what we saw yesterday. Like the Cronkies could just sit there and look at it and be like, yeah, this is cool. Like it was a clown show up front. And despite that, we still won. This team is really, really good from the midfield back. From the midfield back, this team is great. Once we get into the opposition's box, we turn into something completely different. And so I would love to see us bring in an attacker. Declan Rice spoke about it in his post-match. He stood up there and said, surely, we're all kind of like, surely, Mikel, as much as I give him grief, he's not sitting there saying, don't get anybody. He's talking about getting players too. Bring it on Tierney for left wing. That's just unacceptable.
Tierney for left wing was crazy.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It's
But I thought Arsenal played one of their best games of the season.
Huh?
I actually thought that Arsenal played one of the best games in the season.
Explain that.
Okay, simply, at 2-1, Arsenal would have capitulated, would have sat back, would have conceded pressure. Even at 2-1, you're still pressing them. You're still playing on the front foot. You created abundance of chances. You kept possession at the back. That is something that Arteta didn't do. This is why we criticized him in the beginning of the season and said, Arsenal changed the way they play. At the end of last season, towards the last 18 games, you're always the team that played on the front foot. That is what happened yesterday. This is where I disagree with people. The only thing that was missing yesterday is being clinical, right? Chances were created. Pressing happened. Building from the back. Saliba and Gabriel defended in spaces, right? All I'm saying are some things that happened yesterday. This is not the same Arsenal that started the season. Arsenal in this season going 1-0 up. You're like, oh, everyone back. Let's defend for our lives. You didn't do that yesterday. Odegaard never stopped pressing until the last minute, right? Never stopped pressing. Even though Kai Havertz was not clinical, he did his defensive work or whatever. I don't like him anyway, but he was still pressing. We saw in the beginning of the season, this is why when I'm saying Arsenal's best game tactically was yesterday. Arteta's not going to put the ball in the back of the net himself. He's not. Arteta isn't.
You can't fault Mikel for yesterday, that's for sure.
But that's my saying that Arsenal played one of their best games tactically since the beginning of the season. How many times you have seen Spurs fighting for their lives in their 18? First 30 minutes yesterday before they scored, they were literally fighting for their life, blocking inside the 18s. They were cleaning the ball. They were panicking. Even Jacob on the Lahwa was saying, I saw us hanging to our lives. Like we're just hanging in. This is the explanation of why I said Arsenal played one of their best games yesterday.
Yeah, like I said, I think we're a really, really good team once you get past them forwards, So yeah, I'm relatively obviously you're talking to me the day after we beat Spurs, which they are so shit, and we should always be beating them. And how pathetic are they? I mean, they could literally be in 14th, like later on today. That's hilarious. But if you had spoken to me after we went out to Man United in the FA Cup, it'd be a completely different conversation. It's not, it's not all bad. It's not all good. There's always nuance to the conversation, but a forward would change our lives because last 3 games, Newcastle, Man United, and Tottenham, I don't think the story of those games were significantly different. I think we created more than enough and we just could not put the ball in the back of the net. So yeah, get a forward. Make it happen.
Staffy, you kind of shake your head.
forgot why I did. I'm not gonna lie.
Because when I said Arsenal played one of their best games, you shaked your head. You're like, oh no.
Oh no, I probably was looking at the comments. No, but I mean,
Yeah, of course. Listen, if I criticize Arsenal, I'm an Arsenal hater. If I praise Arsenal for something they did, I glaze Arsenal. It's just the story of YouTube,
okay,
bro.
it's how YouTube.
It's
is.
the story of YouTube. Bro.
Listen, I've been losing subs every day since we beat Arsenal, and that just shows you how much Arsenal subscribers I have on my channel. So it is what it is. Big up to everyone who didn't unsubscribe. You guys have more guts than the other ones. But anyways, no, listen, I'm just listening to what you guys said, and I'm not gonna lie. Yesterday, they just took a beat down, and I agree with Jess when she says, and I said that yesterday actually on your show here, Mo. I said I look at this Arsenal team and midfield and backwards. I look at this team and I'm like, you know what? Is my mic cutting up? Maybe I just need to be a little bit closer. I don't know. Someone said in the chat. I look at that team and I do think they do have a championship winning team when it comes to the midfield and going backwards. It's like when you go forward, I just think it's horrible. And yesterday they did win, but I'm not gonna lie. Every time I look at it, I'm just like, you are in desperate need of attackers to come into this team. But it's just like every time I tune into any content, I hear about how Arsenal are not gonna get anyone in the summer. They will talk about Zubamendi, they'll talk about signing summer strikers in the summer, but it doesn't really change anything for the now. And I know we're talking about yesterday's game, but you also have to look at it in a way where it's like, okay, what if they don't get an attacker? Because it's just horrendous at this point. They should have scored a lot more yesterday. And the Spurs team was diabolical for obvious reasons. Obviously, they have injuries, and it just hasn't been going well for them. 5 points in 27. So it's not like they beat a great team. But it would have been nice if Arsenal didn't just beat that team. Forget that it's a North London derby. Just for quality alone, it would have been nice if you actually put them to the sword and you ended that game early, and that game would have been 3-4-1 for what it was. So it just brings us back to the same conversation again. Are they going to sign an attacker in January? And what happens if they don't? Do you generally adjust your expectations moving forward based on the fact that they sign an attacker or not? Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of games where they go down 1-0 with this attacking line that they have, and of course Saka's out for a while and all that, and I expect them to come back. Another day they don't come back. You know what I'm saying? And that would be the biggest worry for me if I'm an Arsenal fan. Because what do we do moving forward? What happens if we don't sign an attacker? That's the biggest worry that I would have, honestly.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Arsenal team and I'm like, Mikel Arteta had everyone yesterday bar Saka, if I'm not mistaken, right? Everyone was fit.
No Jesus.
From the start. No, but
Honestly,
from
no
the
Jesus.
starting 11. From the starting
From the
11.
starting 11. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Everyone was fit. So it shouldn't be.
Jesus, by the way. Nice little
Say
funeral.
what?
You gave him. The nice little funeral you gave him. You were walking out with his shirt on.
I know. I thought it was nice. I didn't really understand why rivals were mad about it, but I feel like when we breathe, people get their panties in a bunch for some reason. So weird.
Arteta picked that up from Pep because we did that for Gundogan like 7 years ago or something. Yeah. It was cringy then. It was cringy yesterday too.
Anyways,
Nina, do you think Arsenal can catch them? Can catch Liverpool with this team without a striker?
That's a good question.
I think they need to sign a striker. I think they need to sign an attacker, full stop. I think you see loads of the games where they've dropped points. It has pretty much come down to that. Yeah, at one point it was creating chances, but that kind of improved in how many chances they've been creating. But there's still, and you can see it in the game yesterday, how many chances are also not being put away. And I think Liverpool have found it much easier to score goals than Arsenal this season. So that's a big difference there as well. And I said that I think Arsenal will show just how ambitious they are about being in this title race with the signings they make. I think this is a make or break mid-season kind of decision there for them. And I also think that, you know, Arsenal rocked up to play the North London derby. I think that's a big thing that people kind of maybe neglect a little bit because they were like, we're not having it, that we've just conceded at home. And I think that's actually what reignited Arsenal to go and overturn the score as quickly as they did. But I think for them, the biggest thing is consistency, right? Like, can they now go on to win as many games as Liverpool did at the start of the season? Can they do a Newcastle and how they've reignited themselves kind of mid-season? And I think the biggest thing is there, signing an attacker. It's as simple as that. And I think even last season, I said to you, Mo, on this show when we're talking about the title race and, you know, Liverpool, City and Arsenal were all involved at the time, I said that I think Arsenal won't be involved until the very end because they won't sign a striker. I think the other thing about Arsenal is they also have this thing where they are their own enemies at times, and I think Mikel Arteta plays into that quite a bit. And what I mean by that is you see it even last season where City dropped points and Arsenal kind of had the door open for them to take advantage of that. They kind of cracked at that sort of opportunity there. And I think every time whoever's in first, and at the moment that's Liverpool, and they are dropping points, Arsenal can't find it in themselves to use that as an opportunity to gain advantage and gain momentum. So I think it's also a mentality thing there as a team. And I think if Arteta can just let the players be a little bit more free with themselves and express themselves so they can play the football they did last season, I think that would improve things. But you can see how much they were creating, how much more they were. But I still think that guy there to put the ball at the back of the net is missing. And maybe it's because other players, maybe like Odegaard, aren't scoring as much and probably need to as well. But yeah, if they don't sign someone in this window, then that will separate them from how serious they can be compared to Liverpool.
Is anybody, if they don't sign anyone, so Arteta will have another summer to recruit players. And then they go again next season. That is the notion now from Arsenal fans. That's something that people should get behind. If he doesn't finish the season with a trophy this season, they should go behind that. I don't want to dwell on this because I've had 2 days of discussing this.
Yeah.
But should Arsenal go in and give Arteta the striker? I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think this is their best chance. This is their best chance because my team's going to reload over the summer. We'll be back in the title race next season. So I think this is a great opportunity for them. And Liverpool are still very consistent. So at least this season they are. So, and I expect Liverpool to keep going next season also, although they're probably going to lose a few players, but you never know. But yeah, this is their big chance. I think Arsenal need to go for it. I think the Cronkies need to show that ambition. They kind of haven't. I'm seeing Vlahovic links this morning as well as Sesko. So I guess, so maybe that's a sign that they're going to try to go for somebody at least. I think either of those two, well, maybe not Vlahovic, but Sesko is an improvement over Havertz, in my opinion. So yeah, they should go for it because yeah, they just kind of need a little more up front. And
yeah, they need a lot more, not just a little. You know what's worrying though? If I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm worried that, and Pep actually came out and spoke about that. He said it was his fault that they didn't really sign a lot in the summer because he believed that he didn't need the rebuild now. He thought he could do it maybe next year. But one thing that they've done well,
they're doing it right now. I don't think we're
exactly. I was about to say that. I spoke to Nobbins about this before January even came in. And we kind of shared the same opinion. He was saying that right now he believes Man City, because of the season that they're having, whoever you were going to get in the summer, try to expedite that and try to get him now if it's within reason, and if it doesn't mean that you're paying crazy prices compared to what you would pay if you wait until the summer. Get him in now. Try to bet him in 6 months early. We know when we always talk about that 1 year, first year under Pep, that you need to adapt first. If you can expedite that by 6 months, that's better for you because now you can go into next season and you could be like, you know what, I got these players in a little bit early and now they got adjusted to the system and to the new club and to the league and all that stuff. That's one thing that would worry me because right now they signed 2 center backs and I think Omar Marmoush is going to be signed any moment now. I mean, we're just waiting for the it's just we know it's going to happen. We just don't know when. And if I'm looking at, not just by the way, it's not just Arsenal, even Liverpool. I'm looking at that. I'm like, you know what? These guys had a poor season, but now they're trying to work early so they cannot be behind when next season comes in. Let's be honest. I think some of these signings might help them improve where they are right now this season. Liverpool not making signings. I look at them and I'm not gonna lie, they're stumbling a little bit in their football. I don't like it right now. I'm looking at them like, if they kind of bottle their lead right now, who's ready to jump on and take that lead from them? And I don't think Arsenal are that ready because, as we said, they still need an attacker. So what happens if they don't get an attacker? Who's going to jump in and say, yo, Liverpool, you're slipping up, but I'm ready. I'm just ready to take over. I'm not going to lie. That is probably the right answer. It might be
Forest, man.
I disagree with you. Yesterday, I asked Hassam this yesterday, and I asked the Liverpool fans. If Liverpool fans don't rate Arsenal, so that means Arsenal are not going to catch them. So that means Liverpool are going to win the Premier League, even if they slip up, because nobody believes that Arsenal can go. Anybody here of us, like we're 5 people here, who believes that Arsenal can replicate what happened at the end of last season? Now,
I don't. I do not. Not without
the striker, maybe, but not where we are right now. No.
I think
But that's the whole point.
He's giving a lot of like false hope. I mean, I actually didn't watch the game because I had a
Can you
power
explain?
outage. Well, because
Okay.
it was Tottenham. Tottenham don't play defense. They're just wide open. They have no team. They're like they're not going to face a lot of those games. I don't think. I mean, they'll face it when my team comes because we have no midfield either. But when they're playing like these relegation teams who are fighting for their lives, they're going to face a low block. And even with like their full team, Arsenal have struggled against low blocks and mid blocks. And I see a lot of that happening, especially towards the end of the season. And there's also that massive game week like 35 or 36 at Anfield. That's not going to be an easy game. And that could, if it is a tight title race, that could blow it open for Liverpool if they win that game, which on paper you would think they would. Because
I actually think it's the other way around. I think Arsenal will win against Aston Villa, and I think Liverpool might drop points against Brentford, and now the pressure is going to be on Liverpool.
I do think that, again, as good as Liverpool have been, which they have been, as bad as we are, if we're as bad as everybody says we are, we shouldn't be anywhere near this. We shouldn't be having this conversation. So I think it's incredibly nuanced. I think, it's just all about if Arsenal can get that forward in, but we're not as far away. And I think that's what's frustrating is that if we were like Chelsea, and this is not to like shade Chelsea at all, but if we were like Chelsea and there's no pressure on us and we're just meant to make top 4, if we had dropped the points, like I know Nina's probably frustrated with it, but it's not the same as like a team that's meant to be challenging for the title and actually has a lot of those pieces. It's really frustrating as a person that's watched a project multiple times to see us 1 or 2 players away and I just want to see us with the completed team once. I've literally never.
Team? What do you mean?
When I say I want to see the completed team once, I want to see the project come to full fruition, not missing one key piece like we always are, and then miss out on what we're supposed to do. Because as an Arsenal fan, since we've been in the Emirates, Highbury, that was different. Emirates, there's always something missing. There's a defender, there's a DM, there's a striker, 40+1, you don't get Suarez, things like that. So I just want to see us actually go into a title race. We're 4 points behind Liverpool. They have a game in hand. Go get the striker. And if we miss out then, fair enough. We couldn't beat Liverpool. They were the best team in the league. Fair enough. But when I always have like the what if, that's what pisses me off more than anything. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, but no team is complete though.
No team
Liverpool
is
are not complete though.
I know, but not
Liverpool.
complete,
Liverpool do with what they have. Like Gravenberch is not a DM, and the striker is not there. They play with Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz as striker.
Yeah, but again, nobody's saying that Liverpool can't win the league with what they have because they have a more complete outfit than what we do. Everybody is talking about we need a striker to do anything, so obviously that's a piece missing. So when I say complete, I mean without the obvious hole that's clearly keeping us from getting where we want to go. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're still going to need more pieces.
So you waited so we had this discussion with Igal, me and Staffy yesterday. And Igal is saying exactly what you just said. He's like, I want him to sign a striker, a prolific one, and I want to see him go at it with that striker, with that one guy that is missing, a striker and left winger, and Zubamendi. And I want to see him go at it with that.
Yeah, like I want to actually not go into a season knowing that we have an obvious flaw that is like insurmountable.
How does Zubamendi fix that though?
Not Zubamendi, but the striker, the attacker. We went into you guys like listen. Everybody knows we need attackers. Everyone and their mom can watch us and say that we need attackers. I don't want to go into a season where we're meant to be winning the title, and then now we're in January and people are like, "Yeah, you guys need strikers." Yes. Yes, I just want to see us with those players. And if we lose to Liverpool, then fair enough. But the what if is really annoying. And it's not an excuse either. Like, oh, we didn't have a striker. It's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's our fault. So, yeah, Zubamendi doesn't help that right now, but a striker would. You guys watched that train wreck yesterday. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I'm gonna before I talk, Nina wanted to say something. I'm sorry, apologies, Nina.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to say in response to Jess about sort of, her like asking to see that complete team and then sort of, judgment, like putting the striker situation aside and bringing in an attacker, I think. And don't you think that exactly the fact that you've been saying, you know, there's been this project there for the years that there has been, and you've been this title challenging team, that still should be enough for you to not need to be complete, if that makes sense? Like, because you have or should have done enough in these last couple years to come up with this team that can kind of have players that can cover for sort of your key and important players. And I know that's been quite difficult for you, in here I'm referencing Saka because of how kind of crucial he's been to your puzzle. But don't you think that a title challenging team that will be coming up towards the top for that many seasons should be just okay without being completely complete, if that makes sense? Do you know what I mean? Because if Liverpool, for example, they might look at themselves and say, well, we weren't quite complete maybe coming into this window, maybe we could have signed someone else and there maybe was someone missing, but they have gone on to be this kind of team that they brought over from the last few seasons where they've been kind of building under Klopp, and that brings other things into it, like mentality, like backbone, and sort of the ethos of the club as a whole. But don't you think that should be enough to tell you that, okay, if we have come this far as an Arsenal team under Arteta, why are we still looking to be complete at this moment in time in this project for us to go and win the league? And what does it keep taking? Okay, you'll make that signing, you'll sign that striker if he is supposed to be that kind of that last step to get in there. But if it's not, then is that?
No, I get where you're going, that the complete team thing. But let me ask you this: has there ever been a team that's won the league that doesn't have a reliable goal scorer? At least one.
Yes.
Or two. Who?
Yes. Well, I thought you meant striker. My bad.
Yeah, a reliable goal
No,
scorer.
don't do that, Mo.
I won two titles in a row with no striker.
A reliable goal scorer.
No, don't do that, Mo. That's
There
I know
hasn't.
what you're talking about.
There
but
hasn't. And so let me land. So I think, yes, I get what Nina's trying to get at, that you shouldn't have to be this complete team. But we've watched the Premier League long enough to know that a team without a reliable goal scorer is not going to win the league. That's just not how it goes. And if that were the case, then why is everybody saying that we need this attacker? We should just be able to go with Kai, right? We should just be able to go with what we got. We know our attack is not good enough. A reliable attack, a dangerous attack, and a really good defense. You need both of those. You can't just have a good defense. It's not enough. So, yeah. In Liverpool, they have a very reliable attack that will dig them out of problems. They have that type of attack that, like, even when things aren't going perfect, they can bail them out. We don't have that. Right now, our defense is trying to bail us out.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
Arteta. He's trying to play false nine ball, and he doesn't have the right players.
Whose fault is that?
I think it's the
5 years in. Whose fault?
I think it's the end. Well, again, it's a nuanced conversation. It's not just Mikel.
Okay.
It's the club. It's everyone. He's not infallible. I always bring him into the conversation because usually when you talk about a coach, you're like, yeah, but he has one hand tied behind his back. He doesn't. There's enough reliable information out there to let you know that he pushed for Marino, despite, the board not particularly wanting him. Calafiori, with his injury issues, he pushed for him in a summer where we needed an attacker. We went out and spent 37 million on somebody that we didn't really need. He pushed for Havertz. So he's not infallible. He's definitely included in the group, but it's the trickle down. It's the Cronkies. They gave enough money and then we didn't use it properly. And then Arteta doubled down on bad decisions. So it's everybody's fault. And now we're looking at players that we could have had in the summer. Again, the guy that we want now in Sesko was told in the summer that he would not start over Kai Havertz. And it sounded stupid at the time, and it sounds really stupid now.
By the way, if Sesko came to the club, I don't think he would have started over Kai Havertz. I think we would have been saying it now, by the way. I think because of Kai Havertz's bad form, because the way Kai Havertz ended last season, he was warranted that to be the starter for Arsenal. The guy ended the season scoring a lot of goals. He matched Haaland in 2024. So he definitely...
I do think it's a little bit like, I get what you're saying, that he was playing well, but you should never bank your season on a player that historically is inconsistent in front of goal. Like, that is who Kai Havertz is at his core. He is an inconsistent player in front of goal, and he's neither the answer at striker or at midfield. You can't change that. He's not like somebody we've never seen before. He's not some unknown player that we just plucked out of Germany. We know this guy. So to bank our season on somebody that you know is very, this is what I say about Arteta. He's a coach to a fault. He likes to coach. He thinks he can make a player into something else. He banks on his coaching ability a little bit too much. You're not going to change Kai Havertz at his core. And to bank our season on him continuing form that we've seen over the last, like, I know Nina's probably seen a little purple patch here and there. Like, that was dumb. No, I'm sorry. You know, and sometimes you got to lie too. Tell Sesko, yeah. You going to play. And then, yeah, when you get him here, nah, bruh, sit on the bench for a little bit. We'll bring you in a little bit later. Don't be so honest, you know? But yeah, we should have brought him in the summer. Period.
Think about it. I thought you should have brought an Osimhen or a Gyökeres, to be honest. Someone who's more established than him.
Yeah,
I just
Arsenal-
want your careers after that Sporting game.
Also, the problem is they have a
We
couple
should
of
have.
players.
But I don't know
But
why
I remember
Arsenal,
a lot of Arsenal fans said
you
that.
know,
It's like,
guys,
nah.
you-
don't need
I
to.
want to tell you why Arsenal, and this is my opinion, right? Before I do a couple of these super chats. Arsenal did not push for a striker because of did not push hard for a striker. They wanted Sesko, and Sesko was off. They wanted Gyökeres, and Sporting asked for too much money. They didn't. I think Arteta didn't like the Osimhen profile. He didn't want that guy. My belief is just me that Arsenal didn't go to get another striker because Mikel Arteta believed that having Kai Havertz in the team and after scoring 90 plus goals, that would be enough this season. That is the mistake.
Yeah.
The mistake happened there. When Sesko said no and Gyökeres was too expensive, you're like, well, we'll wait. We'll wait. We'll work with what we have. You know what? We scored a lot of goals. We'll get more defenders. We'll fix the left 8 with Moreno. We'll get a left back to start over Zinchenko, and we will be good. And because that's the only logical explanation why you would be in for Gyökeres and Sesko, and you end up with none. Nobody. And Nico Williams as well, because you were in for Nico Williams. And then Nico Williams said, no, I'm going to stay. The wage is too much. I believe that Arsenal should have went to get another guy. But I believe that they didn't push because they believe that Havertz can replicate what happened in the last season. That is my belief. Because you cannot be, yes, you cannot be sitting here.
The star of the show. He needed it to work out so bad, and he needs his kind of label there. Arteta bringing in Kai Havertz. He's the man. He wants the league. That's
a
what he
lot of
wants
money on his coaching. That's his whole thing. It's I have an idea in my head, and it's going to work, and it's going to work. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say that in between the seasons where you've been title challenging, every window you've needed, like on paper, you want to make that signing that's going to reinforce your squad to take you to that next level, right? Like you talk about the complete team earlier, right? Bring in players that kind of complete the puzzle. You have a gap somewhere, reinforce, bring in, like you kind of did with Declan Rice. And I think in the same way, or Arteta rather, envisioned Havertz to be on that same level and to be that guy. And he wanted him so bad to be that guy and come in for that reason. And he's viewed as that guy to take Arsenal to the next level, which the next level is winning the league, right?
I'm sorry, stop saving people. We don't need to save anybody anymore. Like,
hey, there's one more. There's one more you need to save.
No, we're not saving Rashford for you. You guys can have that. I'm not doing that.
Wages, man.
I think Arsenal fans will flip shit if Rashford goes to
You know what it is about bringing in players that are like kind of like failed and like damaged from your rivals is that it adds an extra layer of pressure that already exists. You know, when you come into Arsenal and like we're not the biggest test in the world, but a team that needs to win and then you're dropping them in. And then equally, you have another fan base that wants you to fail more than anything, more than they want to breathe. Yeah, no, it's not gonna. No, I like players that you ain't never heard of, that have never been touched, never been on, English soil. I love that because there's not enough. There's no pressure. But Rashford, the two social media fan bases. Oh, honey.
Yeah, it's a recipe disaster. I was joking about that. It would be the worst thing ever. It would be the worst thing for him. It would be good for us because we'll get some cash, but that's about it. But
yeah,
that's
for sure. So yeah, it's a no for me. But yeah, I mean, we all know we need attackers. And I disagree with Mo just a little bit that I don't even think it needs to be the names. because it's so bad that if you just drop some normal players in there, we would instantly improve. Because that's how I do not rate our attack at all. I said we were
You
probably
think like a Delap can work and people like these can work? Adi, like just
if you
people that are not.
Delap would have scored 2 goals yesterday, I'll tell you that. He would have scored 2. That's how bad, it's like we don't even have a striker. You see what I'm saying? It felt like we were playing with 10 men yesterday. No offense to Kai, but it did.
90 million
so-
Lautaro Martinez.
Oh,
No,
my
I'm,
God.
well, listen, we're not that
90 million
desperate.
Lautaro
We're not that
Martinez, bro.
It's okay. We won't take him. But yeah, I don't think it needs to be. And at this point, it can't be because we need so many pieces in the summer that you're going to have to go with, I feel like, less expensive pieces to get more done in the summer. So yeah. Sesko it is for me.
It's actually, it looks like it's going to be Sesko, an option with a loan with an obligation to buy in the summer, actually. It looks like, I'm just reading the news now. It looks like it's going to be Sesko.
They're saying the same thing about Vlahovic, though. Loan with
No.
option to buy.
Broski, Kelk, Vlahovic is shit.
I know.
Thank you, Mo. Thank
This is the guy
you.
who says
He
it.
is
I'm
shit.
rooting for it. No,
Vlahovic
this whole
is
panel guy
shit.
is floating it, and that guy.
Guys, Lukaku plays
the record.
better football than Vlahovic. I promise you this. I watched.
Go look on
Guys,
Football Panel's
crap.
account. He's
Oh,
hitting
his
that.
touch
He's hitting at it.
is so bad. However, if Arsenal get Vlahovic, we gotta be honest now. If Arsenal get Vlahovic and play to his strength as a box striker, spam crosses, get him the ball in front of the goals, I believe he'll score goals. He will score goals. But if Arteta goes in and asks Vlahovic to play the role of like, let's link up the play and pass the ball around, he would look like a fool on the pitch. The guy cannot pass the ball, cannot even dribble with the ball for 10 yards, not falling on his face.
Juventus
as
went out and
simple
got
as that.
Kolo Muani. That's
For a
how
reason.
desperate.
Oh God.
For a reason,
Or,
right?
like Kolo
I think he's probably
Muani.
on the move.
Like people ask, oh Mo, why do you hate Vlahovic? Okay, just Juventus just literally just got Kolo Muani for a reason, right? And it's not because Vlahovic won out. It's because he's not good. He's not good.
He's
not
been
good.
offered for about 3 years in a row now. He always gets offered.
They have been trying to offload the guy for years.
Mo, you know the saying in Arabic?
Like, we're gonna have Vlahovic right now instead of Nicholas Jackson, guys.
No,
I love
Nicholas.
Nicholas Jackson.
I'm just telling you, that's who we were pursuing when we signed Nicholas Jackson. I'm just telling you, who could have been at Chelsea right now.
That's what I'm saying. He's been offered to
Madness.
every Premier League team over the last, I don't
Yeah.
know, about
I think
3
we were
summers.
thinking of it at one point too.
Yeah, like if he was that good, I promise you, he wouldn't be offered that much.
He was,
Like,
I remember
he
him
was
being
obviously
linked to
offered-
Arsenal over the summer as well. So
Vlahovic for the last 3 years have been linked to Arsenal.
Yeah,
every
he's
single
always
day. This
linked
has been-
with us. He's
Summer
our
Pops.
Higuain.
Him in the new
He's your
shirt is
Isco.
on Instagram. My Instagram is like Vlahovic in Arsenal's shirt. It's popping on my Instagram. 365. Arsenal linked to him. It's always been the
Can't stand
same.
that guy.
It's always been the same. Listen, let me do a couple of these before we go on. Guys, listen to Luke and hit that like button. We got 500 people in the house and we're only on 100 likes. Guys, hit that like button, and also all these people's channels are in the description. Nina, of course, with all his Chelsea reviews, always after the games, she does the reviews. Jess now does live show after every Arsenal game. So go and subscribe, turn on the notification bell because she does the Arsenal reaction right away. Staffy TV, Man United. Hopefully he'll do a Man United today. Watch along.
I will be slightly late because of a work meeting, but I
Yeah,
will
but
be there. Senior
Yeah.
Amorim, 3 points at home. We will be there, guys. Don't worry about it.
if you lose to Southampton, you're gonna be. If
Mo,
you
Mo,
lose,
Don't act
Southampton
this-
has guys. Southampton has 6 points. This is
Oh
6.
my goodness.
Mo,
20 games, 6 points.
Mo,
This is.
Mo, have you
We'll
They
talk
have to
about
be
Man
good.
United. We'll talk about Man United because I wanted to touch on Chelsea.
put bad ideas in anyone's head, bro? Okay.
Yeah. Is Arteta holding Arsenal players from playing expressively? Mo mentioned this before. Question to Jess.
Yep. Yep.
Why though? This doesn't make any sense.
Because he likes to control every little aspect of everything. And when it works, it's great. But when it doesn't, it's like when you come up against like a really well-coached teams, like you do that in the Premier League, those Fulhams, the Bournemouths, they study you and they can implement a plan to stop you. And that's when you need your players to be able to think off the cuff. But our players can't because they're so drilled. And like I said, when it works, it works. When it doesn't, it doesn't. So he needs to figure out a balance to let them, especially attackers, Because our attackers look like they'd be going to a funeral. They look so sad. I'm like, let them have a little fun. Let them run around. Let them play on the swing set, you know?
Not
But
Sterling.
he's just
Not
like,
Sterling,
no,
though.
stand here, you know? So
Not Sterling, though. The guy is bad.
I don't
bad.
even consider him a part of the team for real. If he doesn't kick it in the back of our net, I'm like, you did well. Thank you. Thank you for
Did
your
you see that
service.
chance that he got in the beginning of the game yesterday? I forgot who played him in. And he
Oh,
just
Miles
slowed down.
Loselli. He played him
Yeah,
in.
there you go. And he just
And he
slowed
slowed
down as the goalkeeper's coming out, and he just slows down. And I'm like, what happened there? You know that meme when they say when your control disconnects while you're playing FIFA? That's what I thought happened to Sterling. I'm like, bro, what happened there? That looked like the easiest tap in that he's gonna get. And I was like, what a time for you to score. They're struggling for goals, they need attackers, and you're about to score in like the second minute of the game, and he stops. I'm like, what happened to this guy? Like, surely you don't
What do
lose.
you mean what happened?
Scoring
That's his entire career.
No,
You know
but
what?
you know what it
I'm-
is?
I
Like, players
everything
might
that
I'm gonna-
Sterling. That's his entire career.
We got to
But-
finish Sterling. Arsenal got to finished Sterling. That's it.
Yeah,
You
it
don't
is.
lose that type of
I don't know
Finished.
how you gave us 40 million for him, but thank you.
I'm telling you, that's why Pep Guardiola is the biggest scammer in the history of the sport. He is the biggest scammer in the
Hey, we were
history of the sport.
We were desperate. Sterling and Aubameyang came to the rescue.
I forget
Pep
about
Guardiola-
that era.
40 million for Sterling, 45 for Jesus. Oof.
Pep Guardiola scammed a lot of
Good
people in
artist.
the history of the
Running a
sport
Ponzi scheme.
because he is one of the best coaches in the history just to hide the flaws of a player. Simple. Sterling, you are shit. We'll just get you in front of the tap-ins. You'll get a 20-season goals and you'll be one of the best wingers in the history of the sport in the Premier
I'm
League.
still not forgiven Sterling for that miss against Leon.
Leon.
I've
Yeah,
not
Leon.
forgiven him for that. Even after we won a Champions League, I have not forgiven him for that.
If Havertz had shot Tupac back in 1996, he would be on
Oh.
15th album to the Arteta.
Rob.
Oh my
Good
gosh.
reference, though.
So wow.
That's
I love Tupac.
so weird. No. Chelsea fans all season we are not in a title race. Hold, but none of them said they are in a title race.
Title race.
Why would they hold? They are not in a title race, my friend. Nobody said they are. It's simple. This is a I don't know. It's kind of what is it called?
I think
That's
that's
like a
written
bad
back.
translation.
It's written backwards.
It's written
I
back.
still
don't
don't like you, Mo.
Mo,
Big
big up
the
the
chat
chat
panel.
and panel. Oh
Mo,
my
that's quite
Oh, look at
word.
his
nice.
name. His
You've
name is
got
even.
creative comments in there. You've got people getting creative just to super chat you.
The
Now,
man
weird.
from
Oh.
Uncle. A man from Uncle. Or big up for the
The
super
man from
chat.
Uncle, you have
Oh,
too
that's
much time
like
on your hands. to be
a
typing
spy
that.
series or something. It was a Henry Cavill movie. I know that. I think based on books or something.
TP5 was our worst player. Can't wait for him to go. Who's TP5? Thomas Partey?
Party.
Oh no. Thomas Partey's not that bad, bro. He's not that bad. Thomas Partey's not that bad. Don't do that. Talking about Chelsea though. Chalobah, mistreated, kicked out of the team, pinned in the beginning of the season. Now Chelsea on their knees asking for him to come back. They called him back from Crystal Palace. Is that what Chelsea wanted to get the player back? I thought Maresca didn't like him. Anyway.
Yeah, in a bit of a predicament with that one, but to be honest, it's the easiest thing we can do for a short-term solution in that position. It's as simple as that. So they've had to take a bit of an L with that one, but at the moment it is the easiest thing in terms of we just had to recall him back, and until the summer he'll make do. And I don't mean that in a just disrespectful way, because I love Trevor Chalobah and I was always keen on him staying. And I think, you know, all Chelsea fans will remember that we had this insane stat where Trev had started a certain amount of games. It was, I think, over 60 games, and we hadn't conceded under Tuchel, or we hadn't lost a game when he was starting. Anyways, besides the point, it just proves that Trev knows the club very well. It's his boyhood club. He has always had us, you know, at his best interest, in the fact that he was mistreated that way. Yet he feels very professional still towards the club, and he's acted in a very mature way. Just says a lot about Trev as a person as well. But as a footballer, I think he's been great. I think Crystal Palace have enjoyed his short loan spell there. I think he scored like 2 or 3 goals. He's been pretty solid, and he got regular game time as he deserves. And I think he'll come to Chelsea and he will get regular time. So it's also in his kind of favour. It's not necessarily like a case of I'm doing you a favour here. It benefits Trev as well. It benefits the club. It's a short-term thing till summer, until Wes is back, until we have, Badiashile back. The Sassy will go, Tosin. I'm not too sure what will happen with him, but I think in summer we'll bring in a good kind of experienced centre-back, and until then, he will make do. I don't know what's kind of happening with the whole Mark Gehi situation, but we won't overpay too much for that. So whatever happens, I think Trev is a sensible solution at the moment. So I think the fact that the club has actually chosen to take the L and say, okay, we've done this whole kind of embarrassing send off for Trev, banished him from being training with the first team squad, yet he's going to come back, and look, it benefits him. Trev will get a decent move, I hope, in summer. But yeah, we are really
Do you think he solves the problems? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think short term, yeah. I look at our defenders, Mo, and I'm not convinced by anyone in this Chelsea lineup. I've told you.
And no one was convinced by Chalobah before.
Oh,
that's not true, Mo. I think a lot of Chelsea fans regarded Trevor Chalobah highly. The fact that, we were told that maybe the Sassy, when he came in, would be, a really good kind of centre-back for us, and on paper was an exciting prospect. I think a lot of Chelsea fans have now seen our defence and have said, well, actually, we're not too comfortable with the options we have. I think a lot of Chelsea fans will tell you that we do need defensive reinforcements. That's not news to anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that Wesley Fofana...
I know what you mean, but I don't think Trevor Chalobah solves your problems. I think you'll have the same problems.
Look, fact. I think it does, but short term, in terms of like kind of low risk, and you're not paying loads of money to go out and sign someone that is, is not guaranteed to solve your problems. At least Trev, you know him. He's been there before. He knows the club well. It's a low risk transition move as well in terms of him coming back. And I think that it's just low risk for both parties. And it's not necessarily Trevor Chalobah taking an L personally, because he knows he'll get game time. That's it. It's true. He will, because simply what's available right now is there's no one exactly ahead of him in the pecking order.
So do you think Trevor Chalobah is better than Tosin, for example, as a defender?
At Chelsea?
Generally, you think he's better than Tosin Adebayo?
Yes. On the ball as well, massively. Maybe aerially, I'd say Tosin is probably a little bit better. But yeah, I'd take Trev over Tosin starting any day.
The reason why I asked this is because I don't think the problem with you is personnel-wise. I think the problem with you is tactical-wise. And I said that yesterday when I did the show with Ziad. I think it's tactics. It's the one defensive midfielder. It's Enzo Fernandez, Reynolds, Cole Palmer. I explained that many, many times to the people.
Yeah.
And I think Enzo Maresca is leaving the defenders exposed. And it doesn't matter who you get. Unless you get a Van Dijk or a Saliba or a Gabriel, someone that can defend in spaces individually.
Yes.
Even them Arsenal players, by the way, they can't defend 90 minutes individually. They need cover. They need Rice and Partey in front of them sometimes.
True.
Only one defender in the league that can defend for 90 minutes individually, which is Virgil van Dijk, the only guy. Probably the only guy, now, him and Rudiger, for example. So that is the problem for me. Enzo Maresca needs to fix that. And it's not going to be... Trevor Chalobah will make mistakes. Trevor Chalobah... By the way, Enzo Maresca is the one who's exposing Colwell's and all of these people. All of them. It's his tactics. It's that sometimes inverting, sometimes not inverting. That's why I look at this Chalobah, I'm like, you're plugging a hole because you have injuries, but the manager needs to be questioned about his tactics.
Yeah, true. Mo, that's been the thing since the start of the season, though. It's not something that's just happened. I think that, again, we spoke last time was masked over the fact that we were scoring a lot of goals, but we were still conceding equally. So that does mean what you say is true, 100%. And I think we've been caught out way too much on transition, where teams have just ran through our midfield. And I think that, we have seen those frailties, and when it gets to that kind of individual marking there at the back, that you're right, that has been lacking. And then it's up to hoping for a godsend for Sanchez to be having a good game. But I agree with that. I agree, but I said from the start that I've never came into the season feeling confident about our defense, and that's not about Maresca's tactics or anything. Just even simply on paper, that defensive line, it just never really looked like something that you would bet your life on to not concede. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And it's not something that I ever felt really comfortable with. You know, I still stand firmly that a Thiago Silva never was replaced, and it's going to be so hard to even find anyone remotely like what he brought to the team. And I think because we have as many defenders learning on the job as they are, we will never have that kind of defensive structure at the back where you can pick the kind of strong back four that you can say, yeah, this is it. You know, they won't concede. They'll be on their top of the game. And yeah, they'll be caught out individually. That happens in any defense. You know, we've seen Liverpool get caught out with their kind of best defensive partnership in Konate and Van Dijk. It happens, yeah, but we're never going to have that kind of tied in defense until we bring in an experienced centre back, and I will die on that hill. We really need it, because you can see the vulnerabilities of the individuals, and how can they possibly kind of play as a four in a back three and be as comfortable with each other and not concede. It simply won't happen. And let's not forget, as Jess mentioned earlier, you're not going to score 3-4 goals, and you're not going to outscore your opponent each game. So
but Chelsea fans think that we should outscore our opponent every game.
That's a very naive opinion or perspective to have. That's simply, you can't. In the Premier League especially, I think that's an absolutely impossible thing to set out to do in the league. And it's caught up to us. Our goal difference will tell you that as well. You know, we have been struggling to score goals. We've scored, I think, 4 in the last 5, but it's also the fact that we have been conceding this whole time. And I think I said this against Fulham, that problem defensively we have was, you know, it was shed light on because we weren't scoring. But now that we're not scoring, and, you know, we've also been leaking goals and we can concede and we're vulnerable kind of in that sense, then you can see the frailties across the whole pitch as well. But I think defense has been a massive thing since we came into the season.
The striker problem again is apparent at Chelsea as well with Nicholas Jackson. Was that a purple patch? Is another Havertz?
Well, if you look at his numbers and you look at his goal contributions throughout the season, then you can't really say it is, you know, a purple patch, because I think the numbers have been there. I think when you look at conversion rate and you look at the chances that he misses, that's where you look at Nicholas Jackson and you can see the kind of incomplete striker as opposed to someone who's, you know, polished and is your target man, is now number 9 that won't miss the easy chances but score the difficult ones. But look, we ourselves, and I say that, you know, recruitment and the sporting directors made a very firm decision that we were going to just trust Nicholas Jackson, right, to just be the guy. And bringing in Nkunku, he was never really a backup. He never was brought in to be a backup for Nicholas Jackson. So the mistake that was made in recruitment, and I said that's why I was never happy with the summer window, was because we never addressed that. A striker should have been signed, and still, you know, how many
you think now they should go and sign a striker, right? There is no doubt about it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I think that, you know, there never should have been that pressure to just have Nicholas Jackson and then bring on Nkunku for 15 minutes and hope that he's going to do something that Jackson didn't in the 75, 80 minutes. That's really never should have been the case.
It's Kaz here. It's just every time someone would ask if you are in a title race, they would smirk and say no, but deep inside they thought they were. That's what I meant. Some of them said that they are in a title race, actually. Some of them said that they are in a title race.
Some did.
They are. Some did. Nina didn't.
There was one who like reluctantly said he was, but then was like, "We're in it, but we're not." That kind of attitude.
I gave Chelsea like 5% chance to win the title.
I think you gave us a little bit more, Mo.
I
did because he pressed me. Him and Hussam were pressing me that day, like, you need to give Chelsea more credit because you never would have imagined that they'd be. And I'm like, just give it a couple weeks. It's January. Relax. And now we're not even talking about them in the title race.
We're talking about them in the top 4 race. Within 2 weeks, Chelsea can be 6th or 7th, actually, within 2 weeks.
Yeah, I didn't realize
because they go play City at the Etihad, by the way, after they play Wolves at home. Yeah, so it's not a good look for Chelsea at the current moment.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, this little December, January period, I think it could either like propel you or knock you straight down. This is like the worst period of the season. So
the problem with Chelsea though is that they lost points to teams that, okay, if this run that no wins in 5 was against like Liverpool and Arsenal, you'd think like, yes, freaking Ipswich and Fulham, and Crystal Palace. And you know, like
And those
Everton.
games that you just mentioned are still yet to come as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But we know that Chelsea has not beaten a top 6 team, well, apart from Tottenham. But
If
yeah.
Maresca doesn't fix up,
Did we beat
it is a
United? Or was that a draw? I forgot.
a draw, and
Oh,
United
draw,
were the better
sorry.
team, and United were the better team on the pitch. Believe it or not, they were the better team on the pitch that day. Yes,
That was at the bridge too, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, it was at Old Trafford.
Oh,
it was at Old Trafford. United were the better team on the pitch. There are other problems at Chelsea, which is the midfield problem. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, Nina, and ask everyone on the panel as well, is that Enzo Maresca signed Dewsbury Hall, and now he doesn't trust him. Enzo Maresca doesn't trust. Okay. You're leaving now.
Yes, my bad, bro. I haven't.
Yeah. You had a meeting.
I'm back on. I will.
Okay. All right. Cool. There you go. If you talk about the Chelsea, how he doesn't trust his bench, how he signed his players, are these players were forced on him from the board? Guys, how is Dewsbury Hall not being trusted? How is João Felix not being trusted? How are they not being trusted at all? Now,
I mean, no offense, and I never like to say bad things about players, but Dewsbury Hall, let's be real, that was one of the most futile signings that Chelsea have made. And I say why I raise my eyebrows, and I'm not too sure if any Chelsea fan can really say where he fits in the picture. You know, apart from his squad players, then when you bring on, or you know, we've started in the Conference League games, and he's had, you know, a decent run around, and his work ethic is great. But if I was Dewsbury Hall, I'm sitting there probably regretting that move now, because, you know, arguably could have still been getting regular minutes and being a key player at Leicester, but I'm not too sure really. I think that he was, like I said, brought in to be a bit of a reinforcement, a Conference League squad player, but you never will look at your bench and say, come on, bring on a Dewsbury Hall now. We're 2-1 down. We need him to come into midfield. And it's just as simple as that. So maybe that's money that could have been, you know, spent elsewhere. And, you know, maybe in the different world, Carney Chukwuemeka, if Dewsbury Hall never came in, was maybe looked at as a potential Maresca kind of project there to improve and implement a little bit better. But instead he was kind of left at the very bottom of that list. João Felix, I look at that one and I think he is the player that I would like to see more of, especially someone who's got something to show as a substitute. You know, okay, we wanted to see him start a few Premier League games. He did, maybe wasn't quite what we expected in terms of goal output, but I think, you know, João Felix is a playmaker. I think, you know, I look at him and I say he is someone that can come on, especially if you're playing a low block, and can switch things around for you. He's not the most clinical and he can frustrate you in front of goal, and I think we've seen that, but he is also someone that, because of the few minutes he gets, he'll come on and he won't be afraid to take it upon himself to have a shot, have a go, take a risk. And especially in the few games we've been playing recently where we have really looked void of clinical finishing, you could have brought him on a little bit earlier as well, I think. But yeah, someone who surprised me. I never really thought, you know, we were never pursuing João Felix as someone who was on our target list. I do still think that it was very much kind of involvement with the whole Conor Gallagher deal and how that kind of unfolded. But yeah, João Felix is someone who can bring on fresh legs, a different idea, and surprise players a little bit. He's very techie, so he's got that up his sleeve. Yeah, the end product isn't quite there, but you lose nothing Maresca if you bring him on a little bit early, especially when things look flat on the pitch. And especially our most recent game, and I was there when we, you know, just lost to Bournemouth. And well, I say loss, it does feel like a loss. We drew that game, but because we threw away the 1-0 lead, it did feel like a defeat in the end. And I just look at it and I say, okay,
you bottled the game.
Yes, okay, Mo, to use your words, bottled. I really hate that word, but bottled, yes, that is essentially what we did. Threw it away like we did against Fulham. And I think, you know, be a bit more proactive with your substitutes. I get you look at the bench, but there are players there, right? You can bring on. Yeah, we've tried the Nkunku. Or maybe just try the Felix now. Just someone that can come in, and he does aid other players as well. He's good with his 1-2s. Yeah, you've got nothing to lose. And I think we're in a position now where we need to try different things.
What is your best lineup?
Well, I still think, and I firmly believe if I was sat here on this panel with another 3 Chelsea fans, would give you different lineups. And I think that's purely because there are still, it's true, Mo, because there are still different kind of options you can play.
Yeah, because Ziad said within the same show said 2 lineups. He's not even
Well,
sure.
then you go, then that reinforces it. And I think at the start of the season, with how players were sort of lining up, the defense kind of picks itself with who we've had. You know, Wesley Fofana, of course, is in there because, you know, we do miss him, and I think that's evident there. But you know, you look at the right back situation, we've got Reece James there now. So, you know, Reece James kind of comes back in there for me. And you saw it. He's someone that can step up in a moment when you need it. So you've got Reece James there. You've got Wesley Fofana. Levi Colwill on paper is that better left centre back there as well, who you'd partner out the back with a Fofana. He was at the start of the season. And then you've got Marco Correa, who has been having a few subpar games for his standards recently. But again, on paper, if you were to select that kind of back four, if you were playing one, you'd probably pick that. And if there are any Chelsea fans in the chat who would say something different, then fair enough. But yeah. And then it's interesting, midfield again, that's something that we have been slightly disjointed in on the field. And I think that you saw it against Bournemouth. We were very easily turned over, and he brought off Lavia to bring on Reece James, so that Caicedo and Enzo could kind of slot in there in the middle. And again, if you look at the games we were winning at the start of the season, Enzo and Caicedo are building a pretty solid duo, like partnership there. I'd like to see what it looks like with maybe playing a Lavia there, as opposed to kind of playing Caicedo as a right back and having Lavia Lavia and Enzo in midfield. Yeah, to see what that looks like. And I think that, you know, Lavia is one of Enzo's most kind of prized possessions in the sense that, you know, he was a big pursuit. Lavia kind of has to fit into this Chelsea system as a first teamer. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what decisions he makes with regards to Lavia. And then, you know, if you move further up, this is where you could probably mix and match. But on paper, what has kind of worked the most this season is probably Cole Palmer, Sancho. And this is where it gets interesting because I like Neto and I want to see more from Neto, but I think that his output needs to be better. I need him to score more goals this season. I need him to be a little bit more direct. Madueke has been kind of absent and has had a little bit of a dip from his kind of better self, but there is still a player there that I kind of trust and want to see. So it's interesting because you could probably start a Sancho and a Neto with a Jackson up top because that's common. So, you know, that's how it's been. But you could also start a Madueke and you could kind of interchange and, you know, have a Sancho. Neto can also play on the left and on the right. So you can interchange there. But Sancho's been a really good...
So 12 players. Play with 12 players. Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo, Cole Palmer, Neto.
I said with what we've seen so far, I'd leave Lavia at the team, but I'd like to see Lavia
come really?
into the team.
Okay.
With what's been working. But Lavia's back and he's fit now. And on paper, he is, you know, one of the
In
best.
my opinion, I actually think someone has to be dropped from that midfield, and Lavia and Caicedo has to be played.
Well, in that case, you'd drop Enzo, wouldn't you?
We'll drop somebody. I don't know who, but we have to drop somebody.
And we'll see that because at the start of the season, I think Lavia was selected.
Or I have another option, actually. Play Palmer on the right side and play Enzo Fernandez at the 10.
We've seen that. And I think, you know, if you talk, it's not in the games where Maresca has experimented with that, it's not really worked.
Yeah. Y'all got 4 midfielders and only 3 of them could be in there. And Lavia has to be one. I think he's your to me, I think he's your best. So
Lavia is he's one of the more physical midfielders. And I think, you know, there was no coincidence he was starting against all like the top midfields that we were competing against because of his physicality and his ball carrying ability.
Yeah. So one of Caicedo, and it can't be Caicedo. So it's Enzo. Drop him. Like
I saw a stat on Twitter though that said he's created the most open play goals of all midfielders in the league this season.
Enzo has been their best player. Enzo Fernandez has been their best player for the past 2 months.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why would Enzo Fernandez be a problem in this lineup? Because I think that these past games we've not been able to score. Like we've still created loads of chances. I think there's quite an outrageous.
But you're still wide open with him in the middle.
Yeah, but Caicedo was the best. I feel like you guys were better when Caicedo was your better midfielder. So are we saying that Enzo Fernandez is like his run of form coincides with your form dropping?
They've been good together.
Can I chime in here and just tell you the problem is Jess? Enzo Fernandez has been the gel for the ball to get from the midfield to create chances up top. So he has been immense in that aspect.
He had as many assists as he did in
Right?
the
He has been
game.
immense, right? He creates chances. He gets the ball from Caicedo or from the defense, gets it to the forwards, to the wingers. He has been great.
And even against Bournemouth too. He was creating.
The problem happens, Jess, when they are 1-0 up and they aren't scoring goals, and now you have Enzo Fernandez with Palmer and one defensive midfielder behind them is asked to cover everyone else. So they have 5 players up top and one defensive midfielder. In football, that doesn't work,
Yeah,
especially in the Premier League.
But
It
the problem
feels
is
like-
there, Mo. You just explained it without noticing.
yeah. I feel like
said-
his. Oh,
But that's the problem. Would you drop your best midfielder that creates chances in Enzo Fernandez, or would you try to keep him there and switch the tactics a little bit to still play Cole Palmer and have the fullback overlap to occupy the wide areas and play Lavia and Caicedo to cover everyone else? That is what he's reluctant to do. What he does is he plays Caicedo right back, ask him to invert inside next to Lavia when Lavia is fit, and now the wingers of the opposition go one-on-one with defenders, and that creates a problem because he's not flexible enough, Enzo Maresca, because he doesn't like his fullbacks to go forward.
And I feel like individual form, to me, in some cases, unless it's an attacker like a striker, I feel like if it's not to the detriment, but there's more questions when they're there than answers, then yeah, you have to go with what's better for the group. It's very similar to the party conversation. It's, he's been our best midfielder, but we've conceded more shots and more goals, and we're way more wide open with him. So we can't build our midfield around him, despite the fact that he's a better passer than Declan Rice or whoever, you know what I mean? So to me, I don't know. When I look at Chelsea, I think it has to be Caicedo and Lavia and Cole Palmer. But then I'm
agree.
sure, like, because of his individual form, Enzo Fernandez, and what he offers, you'd want to shoehorn him in. But yeah, I wouldn't drop the other two.
But can I tell you, Enzo Maresca was actually asked about this from Ray in the press conference, and he actually answered this. They asked him, why don't you play Cole Palmer on the right side? He said, what's the difference? If he plays on the right side, he comes inside the pitch and he becomes a playmaker. Okay, you literally answered it yourself. So play him there and let the fullback, who's Reece James now, to go forward and be the wide option. You don't have to play a winger there. Sancho's a touchline winger on the other side. Play Palmer on the right. Let him be the playmaker. Let him invert inside the pitch. Play behind Jackson and be the playmaker. And have your right back go forward like everyone else in the world sometimes when they have a Cole Palmer ilk player. He answered it himself. Start Enzo. Play Lavia as the center midfielder. Play Caicedo and Enzo around him. Have Enzo go forward a little bit, create. Cole Palmer comes inside. By the way, he did it with Joao Felix. He played Joao Felix as a left winger, but he was a 10 next to Cole Palmer. So you did it on the left side. Why don't you do it on the right side? It's stubbornness, because he doesn't like his fullbacks to go forward. He had, at that game, the only game, he had Kukurea hold the width. I think it's just stubbornness, to be honest. I think it's just stubbornness.
I feel like almost every manager has that one thing that they're just like, the fans are looking at it. They're like, why can't you change that one thing? But they're like, they live and die by it. Maybe this is just his thing. I know.
Maybe he doesn't want to be like copy Poch and play Palmer on the right. I'm not going to do what this guy did.
No, I think that's what. But Palmer is one of the most technically gifted players in the team, and when we've struggled last season as well, I think what you saw a lot was the side-to-side football that we sometimes now play with low blocks, but that stops a lot more. And you can see we play through the center, through the middle a lot more, and Palmer is crucial for that. He's a really big kind of piece in that puzzle, and he enables that. So yeah,
but I never asked him to play wide. Start wide. Play inside like Joao Felix.
Centrally. Yeah, well, Neto does that as well. It's a good point you mentioned. Neto, regardless which wing he starts on, he does that as well. He does drift centrally, but I think that he's quite set on this.
Nina, it's 2020. Nina, it's 2025. Believe it or not, fullbacks can overlap and hold the width. It's 2025.
Reece James is back now. We'll see what the actual plan there is.
For like 5 minutes.
He said one thing.
I'm sorry.
I think
counting on Reece James is not an option. I don't think.
Durability.
It's like
she's kind of right.
You don't even want him really running up and down the sideline doing the shuttle runs, because that's going to expedite it. You need him standing. In fact, Enzo Maresca is probably right about that. Yeah. Leave him in the back. You don't want him running up and down the sideline. But yeah, it must be so frustrating to have such a good player that just can't stay fit. I know that has to be frustrating.
It's like John Stones.
Well, I think you would know
It's
that,
like John
no?
Stones.
Huh?
I said,
Who?
I think you're familiar with that feeling, no?
We don't have anybody of Reece James quality that's always injured like that.
No, but I just mean an important player that's injured for you
Yeah,
now.
yeah, no, yeah, of course.
Oh, you're
yeah.
talking about Saka.
No, she's
Well,
talking about
Sa-
Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I was like. We're not
Talking about
comparing
Gabriel
the same
Jesus.
things.
Jesus.
Every
not
time he
comparing
scores a
the same
couple of goals, it happens to the guy.
And, no, but I was honestly, I was being sincere.
100% too. I was 100% right on that.
And I know you were being like, really, you cannot build, to be honest with you, you cannot build a tactical plan. I agree with both Kilk and just, you cannot build your whole tactical plan going through the season relying that Reece James, my right back, is going to be fit. And then what if he's not?
That's why we're not. And that's why we're
Yeah,
not.
you're not. Yeah.
Bringing him off the bench seems like a good idea.
You know what it is? It's like when he's there, it's like an icing on. It's like, oh, and he's there. That's great. It's extra, but it could never be something you're like waiting for. So
I'm sure Chelsea can find another loophole and play with 12 players. That's all right. That's okay.
All right, keep it coming, guys. Wow, here we are. Let's all.
Not if it's in a club that is going to find out. It's like
Staffy's
you.
still in
guys.
there at the bottom like there's no heat on me today.
Bro,
Woo-hoo.
it's 15th. White. I thought they're 13th, and Said was in the chat yesterday. Like,
I
bro,
didn't
we're
play my
15th.
game yet, Mo.
We're not even 30th or 15th, you know, 15th.
But
I'm
the
gonna
talking
win my
point
game
was
today, and
Amorim
that's gonna
became
change
the
it.
big game coach, though, right?
Yeah, which is we're going to talk about it now. Man United, adrenaline rush. Man United only show up in big games. Only. Bro, you were coming from 5 games not winning until you played Arsenal at the Emirates, and then you show up against Arsenal. There has to be a reason why.
You know, technically, I still haven't won a game in 90 minutes over like,
Like
the
6
last
games,
6
right?
games. Yeah. I haven't seen a win in 90 minutes. I think
We're the
people
biggest
forget
club in
that.
the world. We're the biggest club in the world. We're Manchester United.
Don't quote. Listen, I've been on this
Oh,
stream for
God.
over an hour. I didn't quote anyone here for things they didn't say. Don't quote me for anything I didn't say. I don't care what site
Do,
said. I
do
don't
you,
care what
do you
anyone-
believe you're the biggest club in England? Yes or no?
Mo, why are we doing this? I thought we were
I'm
gonna talk
asking you
about
a
the
question,
form.
bro. We're going to talk about the football. I just ask a question, then
Yes,
we'll move on.
Habibi, on history, yes. The way we've
Okay.
operated the last 10 years, no. I've already had
Talking
these
about how
debates.
big your club is overcompensating for something else. Just saying. Just
All I'm
saying.
saying is we just haven't been moving like it.
By the way, the Omar
Probably
Marmoush deal
not.
looks like it's done. The Omar
Yeah,
Marmoush deal. It
it's
looks
going
like
nuts in the chat. I'm responding to him.
well,
Oh, is
Arsenal
it?
could have done with
We finally got some-
Liverpool and Arsenal could have done with Omar Marmoush, to be honest.
Bro, he
Listen.
wasn't going to go to Arsenal. He's not the fit for them. Don't do
The
it.
stuff I read in the media, which could be wrong, said he wanted to go to City.
What do you
But
guys
that's
see?
what I
haven't
read.
seen
So
that.
I
Manchester
don't know,
City
maybe
media,
Egyptian media is
Manchester
different. I
City
don't know.
FC News.
Hey man,
This is-
we're doing
Where'd
something.
she get
We're
from?
having a good chat. We're having
Where
a
your
good
sources?
Omar Marmoush has been a City fan all his life. We know that. Since he was a kid, he always wanted to play. for
There's a
City.
quote a couple
Always
years ago
wanted
him
to
saying you
play
wanted
for
to
Manchester
like
City.
City.
No,
Bro,
but
look
that's
at
a
the
really
joke
good
of a club,
signing.
bro. They
It's
rejected
a
it.
joke.
Again-
It's a joke, people. It's a joke.
But it also reiterates the fact that remember we said this a couple weeks ago. It was a mistake to let Julian Alvarez leave. It was, and they instantly fixed it. That was like I was like, what are they doing?
But they didn't
So,
let
yeah.
him leave. The kid cried and said, I want out. I
wanted
want to
to go.
play.
He wanted to be a striker, and he wasn't going to be a striker at City.
Kid
Don't
cried.
shoot me. Don't shoot me.
I
It's
mean,
going back
people
to
hunting for trophies should have gotten him because everywhere he goes, he wins trophies. Look at he goes to Atletico, they're top of the league. Coincidence? I think not.
bro. Julian Alvarez is not that good anyway. He's not that good anyway.
Well,
You
he's
hate
scored more goals
everyone.
than the $80 million sitting in the bank
I do hate
account.
everyone. I
You
only
hate
rate
everyone.
I only rate Saka. I rate KDB. I like these elk. I like Cole Palmer, Caicedo, Lavia. These guys. I like only top players. Like
And this is why you don't beat the elevation.
Bro, I
So
hold
you
only
just try to
players
rage
to
beat
high
everyone?
standards, bro. Bro, I like.
Oh gosh, high
Here
standards.
we go. Standards. The word. I hate that word so much now.
Why do you guys hate that word?
Because it's like
I'm
it's
sorry.
misused by half the people. There's people that grew up on standards and they never had it. All of a sudden, they wanted to adopt it. I'm like, bro, what standards are you talking about? Like, you never had these standards. Why do you?
Bro,
think
when
all of a
I
sudden-
started supporting Inter, it was Yorkaev, Ronaldo, Zamorano
Not
at the club.
necessarily
Bro.
you. I'm just saying because you asked why do you hate that word, bro. I hear Spurs fans talking to me about standards.
Spurs
It's like
fans
you
with
grew up
standards
and your
to
best
match.
friend was a millionaire and you lived in an average household. You shouldn't have the same standards as your best friend just because he got an AMG when he when he got to college doesn't mean you get one. What standards did you grow up on?
Well,
Ride
they
that
used to
Honda
win
Civic
some
and shut up.
trophies.
It's that simple.
Anyone rates Julian Alvarez. I think he's an okay player. He's a good player.
He's
Nothing more.
He's a good like second striker, but he's got a
Yeah.
terrible first touch, and he's not very good technically. So
That was a great deal for you guys. How much did you cash on him for again?
90
about 80 million pounds.
That's
I believe,
freaking
with add-ons and stuff.
insane.
One of the
And we only
that's
paid
one of
bought
the
it-
$80
best
he bought
sales
him
I've ever
for
seen.
15. He spent 1.5 years at the club or something.
2
Bang.
years.
2
But he won,
years.
to be fair, everything, including a
Got
World
us
Cup.
the
he
treble.
did.
One of the best
Got us
sales
every
I've ever
trophy we'd never won before.
Yeah,
You know,
one
it'd
of the
be
best deals ever.
interesting because like Frankfurt, like they sell these strikers all the time, and they end up being like kind of
Shitty.
shit. Like
Yeah.
Colomawani and these guys, like they do it
You're
every
really
year.
hanging on to Kylo
Yeah, I'm
My
like,
counter to that.
they do
my
it all
counter-
the time.
Someone actually made a list of
Is-
the
is-
Eintracht Frankfurt
saying.
strikers that left.
Yeah,
seen
and
that
I'm like,
list. But my
It's
counter
Marmouche.
is that City have an excellent record with Bundesliga.
You have two Egyptians on the stream. I wish Marmouche nothing but be a superstar in the Premier League. Nothing but to be a
I know,
superstar in the Premier League.
I'm gonna have to buy you a shirt, Mo. He's
Or
definitely
City,
gonna wear
you know,
number
You New
7.
Jersey native.
I don't even have a Salah shirt. I don't. Like, I don't.
Gonna make friends
It's
with some
Liverpool.
Liverpool fans. Get him to send you a shirt.
I don't even have a Salah shirt. But anyway, back to Manchester United.
I also didn't know.
Can
Staffy
someone-
was Egyptian.
Can someone explain why Man United only playing big games?
It's simple. They love the underdog gimmick, and I don't like the underdog gimmick. When you're the underdog, and I'm not gonna lie, Amorim just said the same thing yesterday. He said these players played well when we're not expected to win. Now we're expecting it to win against Southampton. So what are they gonna do? And this is gonna be a big test for them. And funny enough, Mo, you can vouch on this. Me and you spoke about this yesterday before I even heard the press conference. When we were talking about what should we talk about on the show, I was like, bro, that's a good talking point because that's what we're talking about, the fan base. And the manager came out and said the same thing. What happens now when we're not going away to Anfield? Everyone's ruling this out. We're not going away to the Emirates. Everyone's ruling this out. We're not gonna be these 2 games we didn't have a lot of the ball compared to how much of the ball we're gonna have against Southampton, right? And we're at home. As you said earlier, you were joking about it, but it's true. They only have 6 points. So now all eyes are on you to not just win, to put a good performance. And we're not going to play anywhere remotely as close to what we did against Liverpool and Arsenal. They had a lot of the ball. We had to resort to just being a little bit better off the ball, defensively resolute. When we get the ball, we have to be a little bit better with it because we won't get a lot of it. Now we're going to be afforded a lot of the ball. So what are we going to do when we have a lot of the ball? What are we going to do when we have them pinned back in their box for the majority of the game? You're not going to be hitting them on the counter like we did against. Well, it wasn't a counter against Arsenal, but we were running 3-2 when we scored that Bruno goal. You were afforded a lot of space to run into and to make that pass and shoot and all that stuff. You're most likely not going to get that against Southampton. You're going to have to deal with tight spaces and too many defenders behind the ball. So how are you going to do with that? You know, and these are the things I'm looking forward to. You know, and when Amorim talks about installing principles of football in this team rather than just going for 3 points over the last 2 months, this is when I expect to see it. The last 2 weeks has been the least we've played football because ever since he came in, we had a game an average every 3 days. So you always complain about the lack of time he had on the training ground. The last 2 weeks, we had a 5-day rest between the game against Liverpool and the game before. Then we had a 6-day rest until we played Arsenal. So this is the most time we've had on the training pitch. So I'm curious / excited to see how we're going to play. Because we beaten Everton at home 4-0. But I'll be honest with you. I never thought that should have been a 4-0 game. I thought they were wasteful. And we were just very clinical on the day. It's just like you could tell when there's a 4-0 game means like I created about 10 big chances. And I converted about 40% of it or maybe more. We didn't really create that much. We just were very clinical on the day. So I'm curious to see how much we're going to create today. How much of the ball are we going to have and how good we're going to be with it. And to be fair, when we have a lot of the ball, I don't think we're necessarily that good. That's why I said I don't like the underdog gimmick. Some of these players now have more of the ball. Let me see what you can do. And some of these guys I don't rate on the ball. Like today we're going to have to play, I think, Maresca as an example. Because Dalot got a suspension. Maresca is not that good attacking. So what are you going to do when you're playing against the Southampton back line? What happens when Maresca gets the ball in the final third? Actually, is Maresca even going to play? Is Amorim going to look at this game and be like, you know what? We're playing a much lesser opposition. I need an extra attacker on the pitch. How do I do that? Maybe I'll push Ahmed back to wing back, and I'll put in another attacker in the 10. And this way I have an extra attacker on the pitch. So when we get the ball, we actually have more attackers in the final third. Today, we're going to get a lot of answers to things that at first, I didn't agree with everyone who was saying, oh, Ruud van Nistelrooy got us getting results in a shorter time than Amorim. Oh, Amorim needs to go back to a back four. A lot of nonsense. Bunch of nonsense. He showed me already that he can coach a big game because he's done it against City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. Now show me, which I believe he could do, but now I got to see it, how you can dominate against these small oppositions. He was averaging 3 goals a game with Sporting Lisbon. That's one thing they were known for, Sporting. It wasn't just the big games that they occasionally win in the Champions League against City and them. They were averaging 3 goals a game. It means they were steamrolling the smaller opponents in the league. So I want to see how he's going to be able to translate that tactically, not quality, because of course the players are still the same. So it's not like he signed anyone, but tactically, I want to see how we're going to be able to dominate them. And even if we don't win, by the way, if we just win like 1 or 2-0, but I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, today we created so many chances. If we had better attackers, we can score these goals. I wouldn't be that mad. I'll be like, you know what? The tactics are there. We'll wait until the quality improves from the transfer window. But if we just go and I feel like we're struggling, Bruno resorts back to grenade football because now he doesn't need to be as disciplined because he's not playing Anfield away and Emirates away. If I see any of these players that were performing well, the back line, if I see individual mistakes again, I don't want to tweet about Lisandro Martinez. Don't get dunked on. Don't
The
give away
Butcher
the ball.
is a very good defender.
I don't
Arsenal
call him the
wanted him.
Butcher. I call him Rey Mysterio. I don't want to have to tweet about that. Don't make me tweet about that. I don't want to see no mistakes. I don't want to see individual mistakes because I didn't see individual mistakes in the last 2 games.
I don't see the end goal for all of this, to be honest.
What do you mean
Manchester
what's the end goal? What do you think is the end goal from today's game, Mo?
No. What's the end goal? Like this Amorim appointment looked good, and I thought that Amorim would be able to change Manchester United, right? But I'm looking at how the fans talk, and I just want to get the rest of the panel's opinion. The amount of players you guys want to replace, that's not happening. Only Chelsea did that. You're not going to be able to replace like 7 players. You need to replace Casemiro. You need to replace Eriksen. You need to replace the left back. You need a right wing back. You need another center back. You need another striker. You need another good player to play behind. There's 7 players of the starting 11 that needs to be changed. 7.
Yeah.
Who does that, bro?
United have a lot of crap on their team, and that's not really Amorim's fault.
I was talking to a United fan about this the other day, and I was like, he has to kind of be able to work with what he has to a certain extent, because I just don't think, maybe Ineos is different than I think, but the amount that you guys have spent on those players, I just don't think they're going to be willing to just like chuck all of them in the trash. I think they're going to expect some of those players to be worked with, and for you also to go up the table and not necessarily achieve things. Like, I don't think they're going to expect you to win the title, but like next season with some of those players, they're going to expect you guys to get top 4. Like, I know that, because you guys need it. So I'm not Amorim. Yeah, he's not going to be able to just like wait until he gets those players. I just don't see it. But I think he's doing a decent job now. It'll just be interesting to see how quickly you can turn over the team. Eventually, he'll get all of his players, but it's not going to be like a Chelsea, like instant flip. Like, it's going to take time. He's going to have to work with some of those guys, and some of them are not very good. So, yeah, I mean, if there was...
I expected Amorim to do better, to be honest, Jess, because I think the job that he has done... but the job that he has done, right, is not as good, but it's masked by the fact that they won against City and they won in the cup against Arsenal.
We bottled that game.
I'm going to tell you why, because I expected him... I'm going to tell you. I expected him to come in and have an instant impact on this team. Instant. And I said that to
really mad winning run, or
no, I'm not winning run, but I see a style of play that is consistent every game. I see players delivering. I didn't expect to see still Højlund back into players and to win the same game.
Wait. Do you understand what you just said? You just said style of play, and then your example was Højlund backing into players. That's not a style of play.
That's definitely style of play. Him still relying on passing the ball to Højlund, hoping that he holds the defender back. That's a coach's instruction. Højlund, guys, let's use Højlund as a station. You know what I'm talking about. Let's use Højlund as a station so we can get up the pitch.
Doesn't do that when he comes on, Mo.
He doesn't even start Xerxes.
No.
That's his choice, bro. Whose choice is that, Staffy?
Let me
Whose choice
repeat
is that? Is
that.
that
Let me
me
repeat
or is
that. Let me
Amarim's choice?
Yeah, Habibi, let me repeat that. I said when he comes on. I didn't say when he starts. I
Okay.
said how come when
As
Højlund,
Talib,
when Xerxes comes on, he plays differently.
that's a different resort. But his starting 11 has Højlund in it, right or wrong?
Yeah, for the majority, yes.
Yes, right? So that means when he coaches the team, the starting 11, he coaches Højlund to be the starting forward. Him asking the players, right, to go to Højlund and him holding the players and doing all of this is the same as happened before. Same thing. We've seen it every game.
No,
That's
I get
not
what you're saying.
change.
No, I
That's
get
not a
what you're saying.
change.
I get what
The
you're
only
saying.
thing that he changed is the 3-4-3 or whatever, which is I get it, right? My point, Nina's asking like wins. No, Nina, not wins. But I expected to see different combinations a little bit, more consistent combination, which is I see from time to time. It will take time, but some managers come in and have instant impact. And I didn't see that from Amorim. Apart from the adrenaline in the big game, which is I call it adrenaline. It's a stuff we said, call it underdog thing. It's the adrenaline. Oh, we're playing Arsenal. Let's go and try to play football, blah, blah, blah. We're not expected. Nothing is expected from us. Liverpool, same. Man City, same. But when they play other teams, they don't look great. Man United don't look great.
Okay, so
With
so
the
I
other
think
teams.
you're very unfair. And here's the thing: you're saying you expected instant impact.
Yes.
You're forgetting what time you took over this team, in what position this team was in when you took over, and the amount of. I think the worst time to hire a
It's
manager
worse now.
is
It's,
right
you were
before
you were
December.
12th and now you're 15th. So it's
No, but
getting worse.
okay. So if we win today and we're back to 12th, that changes your whole take.
No, it's the same then. That mean he didn't change anything. It's the
Okay,
same.
so there you go. So okay, we're not gonna talk about. We can't. You never really do results-based analysis, and this is why I'm kind of surprised that you're doing this. Because based on what you're just saying, if I go up 3 positions today, because my game is on a Thursday and not a Tuesday,
No,
that
you
doesn't
mentioned
change anything.
Staffy, you mentioned the position. I didn't. I mentioned the style of play. I never mentioned wins.
No, because
I
you're
never
talking about
mentioned the
instant
style.
improvement. You're talking about
You
instant improvement.
you are the one who said, "Look where he took us." Look, where's the position?
No. Okay, so I was talking about it more in the tactical side. I wasn't really trying to talk about where we are in the league table. He took
Do you think
over
the
probably the
performances are
worst team.
better though? Like, do you actually watch your team play and think, yeah, I'm
Of
seeing
course, I
stuff?
think tactically, I think we're better. I never
Okay,
seen
so
any
you
of
do
these
think you
tactics
guys
with
are getting
Ten Hag.
better. Okay.
Individually, I still see a huge lack of quality, and that's why I
Yeah.
emphasize the individual mistakes, because the individual mistake was the most frustrating thing. When he came in and coached the first few games, he did a lot of rotations, and a lot of people were complaining about it. And I was like, guys, you got to understand, this is his experiment period. It's not his fault that he took over in December, when realistically, a manager that wants to change so much has to come in and get a preseason. Because all the experimenting that he did during
Yeah.
games, that I wouldn't say cost us points, because I don't think we lost because of rotations. We lost because of lack of individual quality. It's a period that he needed to go through. This guy had to see, all right, what happens when I put this player on the left? What happens when I put him on the right? What happens when Mainu plays advanced? What happens
Thomas
when he
Tuchel
plays
had an
deeper?
instant impact at Chelsea. And by the
Are we
way,
gonna
when
do
he
that?
joined,
Okay, show me that Chelsea game.
They
Show
had
me
a
that
better
Chelsea.
team. United's full of
that
really
Chelsea
fast
team had Kai Havertz, had Timo Werner, had Mason Mount, he had Kante,
That's
Jorginho.
when Werner and Wirtz were
He had
Havertz, sorry,
Kante,
they're actually
Jorginho,
good.
Thiago Silva. Yes, he had these players, but also he
The
had a
Chelsea team wasn't
horrific
as bad as
front
this
I
line,
don't
bro.
think United have anyone near close to the quality that Chelsea has.
Kante, maybe.
And that's
I
where
get it.
They had
see, you
healthy
just said
Reece
Kante.
James.
Kante. I don't have anyone remotely
Yeah,
close
they
to
are
Kante.
when
on
Reece
this.
James is healthy.
Yeah.
Come on, Mo. You're better than that. You're better than that.
I
That's the
think
The
problem.
issue is, and this is not the first time we get into
I
this.
think you
You
had
rate
good
these
players.
players.
You have not
Go
that
ahead.
bad of players. Like Ugarte's not bad.
Exactly. I was about to
Menu's
say
not
that.
bad.
You
Bruno
rate these players.
Bruno Fernandes is not bad. I believe
Well,
Bruno
you
Fernandes
rate
is
these
not bad.
players.
Striker's still adapting to the Premier League, though.
I mean,
I give him a little grace. He's a good player, but he's still adapting. He still gets some time.
I would say the only
I
thing that
believe
would
Delict is good as well. I'm sorry. I believe some of these players are good.
they're not for a top 6 team, they're probably not that good. But when you have to look at, like, I think at the end of the season, even without a preseason, I would be looking at the team like if I was a United fan and be like, did I see the patterns? Did I see this and that? Because you have to say that there are teams that have lesser players that are able to get better patterns and, they play decent football and create chances, but it's still early days. I think Amorim was brought in and like the firing line, and he needs more time to he had to deal with the Rashford stuff too. To me, that's like a lot. You come in, you have to deal with this one player, and it's like a big thing. You don't have all the quality that you need, all that kind of stuff. But Staffy, I do have a question for Staffy though. Like, what's the first thing you guys need to look at? Because you're not going to get everything in the summer that you want. So if you were to go into the summer right now, you can only choose like one thing to fix to get you into Europe next season. What would that be?
In the summer or in January? Because the transfer
Well,
market.
January, nothing's going to happen to help you. Sorry. So the
I
summer.
mean, I think
Be
we
very
could,
difficult.
No, they're gonna
we-
sell Garnacho actually, and Rashford. They're gonna get Rashford go.
There
I
is
don't know
strong
if they're
links.
PSR.
I don't think Garnacho is going to leave until the summer. But if Rashford and Casemiro are offloaded now,
Mhm.
that makes a huge boost for us in the transfer market. So we could go and pursue someone. But just to answer your question, whether it's January or whether it's the summer, I think the biggest fix that we need right now is that left-hand side. And it doesn't take away from the fact that we need a lot of signings. We just have to be realistic and try to prioritize, as you're saying. And I think that left-hand side needs a lot of work. That left-hand side, we're resorting to Dallo being a left wing back, which he offers nothing in the final third, left, let alone when he's playing on the left. Because that means every time he gets the ball, he has to cut to his right, and he doesn't even make the best decisions. We're shoehorning Garnacho on the left 10, which I find, by the way, people who are crying about the idea of Garnacho leaving, I'm not gonna lie, like this is the type of people that I don't need in my fan base. Everyone complains about the lack of us acting like a big club, but then when they compare us to the best two big clubs in the last decade, which is City and Chelsea, you look at them, what's the one thing they did consistently? Selling academy players and buying the best available players on the market. And that's how they find success. These guys are weeping right now because Garnacho's going to leave, as if he has a position in this team anyways. He's not a 10 and he's not a wing back. So why would you cry if we got pure cash for him? And you go, like, who would cry if you sold Garnacho and you took that cash and you're like, yo, give me Cunha right
He's
now?
not even that good anyway.
No
He's
one
not
should-
even a good
No,
player.
exactly.
Yeah.
But even if he was that good, Mo, he
That's
doesn't
just
even have
it's
position.
not even that good, bro.
No, it's insane, bro. I swear the crying that I seen yesterday was absolutely embarrassing. Never seen anything like that. But back to the question, we are crying out loud for a left wing back who actually could do something in the final third, like an Ait Nouri as an example, and we need a left 10. We don't have anyone that can operate in this position. That's why so many times you'll notice that Ahmad gets like not even double teamed, triple teamed at times. And I'm like, every manager has clocked. You just shut down that side and it's easy. Because all we want, any reasonable manager would want the ball to go down to that left-hand side.
Or play Garnacho there so he can assist the goal at the Emirates instead of Ahmad.
That was one of the few good decisions that
think-
he's
I
actually
think
made.
he can do
Just put
that.
him on the right. I mean, bro, you're not gonna. You can rage bait me all you want. You won't get a reaction.
Bro, it's a joke. I'm not. I know you're not. This is
Well,
not the
that's what I'm
plan
saying,
of
you
do
won't
it.
rage
It's a joke, bro.
But it was a good decision to put him on the right because
It's a joke, bro.
as a right footer, the decision made itself.
It's,
Just run down the wing across that. But anyways, he
I
doesn't
guess-
operate as a 10.
uh,
We need to get a left 10 and a left wing back before anything. Because so many positions, I feel like we can shoehorn someone there. Like I could ride out a season with Mazraoui and Dello as my wing back, right.
But
wing back.
I think Bruno Fernandes and Amad Diallo will be the starting 10s for you. I think you need a striker that will score goals, and that's it. I think so.
That's don't say that's it.
Well, I thought
There's no-
Haaland was supposed to be that
there's no
guy.
that's it with United.
Apparently
Hoyland.
not.
Rasmus
Just compared
Hoyland.
him to Haaland when he signed.
Anyway, listen. Let me do it.
Hey,
Listen,
we
there
know
is a
why
lot-
he was compared.
We know.
A lot of
we'll
background
talk-
reasons. They
we'll
look
see what Man
alike,
United
similar
do.
I
names.
think Josh Gvardiol has more goals than Hoyland.
We'll see what Man
Hey,
United
hey,
Willen
do.
is so funny
really
because he
doesn't
thinks
say
he's
much.
so much better than what he is. He's hilarious. Like the celebration, the everything. Like
Hoyland, huh? Yes.
What was he?
Well,
70 million?
okay.
he believes the hype. It's so
75
funny.
million. This guy, I swear to God, I cringe every time he scores because it always follows up with an Instagram post. Stop
Oh, God.
posting on
Yeah.
Instagram, brother. Brother, just score a goal and then go back on the training pitch. That's what
You guys have a lot of social media guys.
Divas. Divas.
I feel
They're
like
all
they sit there and they
divas.
have their
They're all
drafts
divas.
ready.
They want to appeal to the fan base. That's the biggest thing I think at United. A lot of them are very desperate to be appreciated by your fans. I don't know if that's quite sad or what it kind of is telling about the fan base, but it's true. I know I see it because I mean, obviously every footballer posts things on Instagram, especially like once they've scored and thing. But I think because of the way that a lot of Man United fans have been so disconnected with a lot of the players in recent time, there is almost this kind of desperation from their side to be appreciated and liked by the fan base. And there's almost this kind of like fight to stay as well, right? To like cement their position there. So it's almost like a little bit of a
They pay a lot of money, so that's why everyone wants to stay at Man United. They pay a lot of
Also,
money.
it's just like a social media generation.
Yeah,
for-
and you
for younger
yesterday wanted
players.
to pay 19-year-olds 150 to 200K when
He's
they
the only one. He's the only one that deserved it at the club. Kobe Manu.
Oh, okay. So now he's the only one that deserves that.
Yeah, him the only one, even
I
more
would
than
agree with
Ahmad.
that.
You would be the first one to laugh at us when we give crazy wages.
Absolutely.
And
Kobe
yesterday you're
Manu.
saying
I would take Kobe Manu, who would be a star at Inter. Arsenal would take Kobe Manu. Anyone would take Kobe Manu.
did I say he's not a
I'd
star?
take him. Oh my
You're
God,
not gonna
I'd
hop
take
on
him.
the Manu train when I was
I have
one of the
Rodri.
first.
Am I allowed not to want Kobe Manu, or is that like?
I was going to
Well,
say.
Well,
You guys are signing another DM.
Can you write the? Can you write
For
the
some
way?
odd
Can you
reason.
just say that you want him?
I
Just-
refuse. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I yeah.
I don't
He
think
can't
they need him
run.
when I was-
Yeah,
Legs are
Manu
so
next to
short.
Rodri. Ooh, sign me
Say
up.
no for me.
Sign me up.
But he
that's
is,
why I tried
like,
to
your
convince
best
Mo
player.
that he needs to play higher up the pitch, but Mo said he should be.
No, I think he's an 8. I think he's fantastic.
Doesn't
Let
have-
me do
I
this.
say play him
Doesn't
next
have
to
the
Also,
Listen,
Rodri.
don't like
power.
players when
Listen.
you don't know what their position is. He's an 8. He's a 10. He's a 6.
No, I know his
he's
position
not.
for me. If I'm,
That's
I'll
just
play him as an
Mo wants
3.
me to run this team with 2 midfielders that are under 6 feet, running the 2 positions that require the running the most. Imagine having two 8s, 6s, whatever you want to call them, in Ugarte and Menu. There's no running power in that midfield. But Mo wants them both.
That's
to play.
why he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't suit Man United. That's why he should leave.
You just want him at Inter, bro. Put a bid in, and I'll talk.
He's
I'll
not.
let
He's not. He's not gonna. We're not gonna pay that much money. Listen. The last super chat before we end the show. To all the Arsenal fans, that Arteta take a domestic cup seriously? FA Cup, I doubt it though.
He
I
did
thought
take
he
it
did.
serious. He
That's-
didn't do anything. He did take it serious. He did. He didn't play a weekend lineup or
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
Well, he did a little bit week, but like, let's be honest. Like, I know that this probably sounds biased, but we missed a lot of wide open chances against United. Like a lot. Like it was a clown show. That's not really Arteta's fault. He took it seriously enough. We just fucked it like we always do. Like
I
You
agree.
also ran into
100%.
a buzzsaw with Newcastle because they're flying right now.
Newcastle at the current moment are better than a lot of teams in the
You know
Yeah,
league.
they're
they're
on the
probably
best
they probably
winning
have the
streak
best
in their
form
club
in the continent right now.
They're in the best
Yeah.
win streak in their club history. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We'll see.
They're
Listen.
bulldozing everybody with that midfield of theirs. Whew, bunch of bruises.
By the way,
Um,
Arsenal fans, forget about Isaac. You're not getting him for anything less than
No.
like 150. It's over.
They're not going to sell him. They're not going to sell Bruno G either. So I gave up on that a long time ago.
Yeah. Listen, people. Jess's channel, she knows Arsenal, in the description. She's going live with Deluded Gunnar today at 5 p.m. UK time, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if she's going live on her channel as well today. I don't know.
yeah,
Just
after-
go on.
Yeah, I am.
After Deluded Gunnar. So go and subscribe to Jess. She knows Arsenal. Nina as well. Chelsea reviews. Of course, she's going to review after the Bournemouth game, before and after, if I'm not mistaken. She always does that. So go and support Nina's channel. And Staffy. Watch along today. Man United versus Southampton.
I will not get
15th.
clipped up today. Don't worry about that.
15th versus the last team in the league. Absolutely bottom half of the table clash. Fantastic.
Halas,
Get off.
get out of your system.
Not even the
fantastic.
relegation.
Proud of yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. Good job, man.
Bro, I'm so happy with myself.
Rename your
that I
channel,
just-
bro. It's
I'm-
Rage
I'm-
Bait Mo. You're not a judge. You're a
I
rage,
am shit. I'm shitting on Man United. I'm just happy the guy.
Rage Bait Mo.
Okay.
That's his new.
Appreciate you guys.
15th place.
Listen, I'm just gonna see you guys soon, maybe tomorrow morning. Appreciate everyone that is here. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Staffy. Kelk, always pleasure to have you. Nina as well. Great show, guys. Hopefully next time we meet Arsenal, we'll have a striker. And then we can put pressure on them to win the league. We'll see you guys soon. We're out of here, people.